Okay, so it's looking at a topic that starts a bit more formal study of patterns, and in this one we're calling them difference equations. Okay, so just some general introduction. When we have a sequence of numbers like 5, 10, 15, 20, each of these numbers is called a term. So for instance, in this one here, this is called the first term, and as a notation we can use these subscripts like ones here, and we either use a capital T or little t. It just depends on the textbook or how you're being asked to do it. This term over here, the number 20, this is the fourth term, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the fourth term, and in notation it's either T4 capital or T4 with a lowercase. But just to note that the 4 is a subscript. So it's not like x squared, it just means the fourth term. So copy that and come across. So what we've got is, like, we had T1 and T4, but what we need to look at is what's called a general term, which can be used. We can use this to find any term in the sequence. And the general term, rather than having T1 or T4, the general term is always denoted as Tn. So that once we know what the number is that we're looking for, either 1 or 4, we just plug in the number into here, and once we know what the rule is that finds the pattern, we can find the answers to different numbers. So Tn or Tn with a lowercase or uppercase is the general term, which is just like a recipe to find the numbers in the sequence. Okay, come across when you're ready. Okay, so most sequences, I think just about any sequence, can be defined by a rule. Some rules are really easy, like 5, 10, 15. But the rule is just, this is the first number, so we just multiply 5 by n, 5 by 1, 5 by 2, 5 by 3. This is the first term, this is the second term, this is the third term, and the numbers come out. So sometimes it's as easy as that. And then some rules are different in that they use a previous number. So for instance, in these sort of questions, they tell you what the first number is. So the first term is 1, and then any subsequent term, so Tn, relies on the previous term. So if n is a term, then n minus 1 is the previous term. So it's saying to find any term, take the previous term and then add 2. Okay, why is it add 2? Because it's just anything that the teacher or the book wants to do. But what I'm trying to point out is a pattern can be established by a rule, 5n, or can be established by a rule that relies on other answers that you've already got. So copy that and come across. So don't worry about why is it plus 2. It could be plus 1, it could be plus 5, it could be minus 7. It doesn't matter. The questions will tell you what the rules are. So copy that and come across. Okay, so let's have a look at an example. They tell you that the first term is 3. Okay, so that's T1. And then it says to get the next, so the terms after rely on the previous term. So for instance, T2 says take the T1 term, the previous term, and add 5. So 3 plus 5 is 8. Okay, next term, T3, to get the third term, take the second term, which is 8, and add 5. So straight away you can see what's happening. It's just going up by 5s. So find the first 4 terms. So the first 4 terms are that. So once you get the pattern going, you don't have to keep going back to the formula. Okay, so copy that and come across. Okay, so here you have to try to work out some rules. Okay, I'm not going to give you any clues. See if you can work out what the rules are to get those sequences. So pause, and then when you're ready, have a go at the first one, and then have a go at the second one. Okay, and come back when you're ready. Okay, so let's try the general term. So we're going to take the number 9, and we're going to, just hang on a sec, I'm going back, sorry, that's in Tn, it's going to be T1, and then any term after that, so we've got Tn minus 1, the previous term, times minus a third. Okay, so T1 is 9, and Tn equals the previous term times minus a third, and that'll give you the pattern. In the next one, we can just use an easy one. It's just n squared. 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared. So that'll give you the pattern for that one. Okay, copy that, come across. Okay, so we just got one word problem to do. The number of students in a maths class increases by 5 students each term. In 2006 there were 40 students. Find the difference equation, and then to write an expression for Tn in terms of n. So first part, Tn relies on the previous number, and then we're adding 5, and that's it. That's how the first one is come as a difference equation. And in part 2, what we're going to do is we're going to establish the pattern. So the pattern is 40 for the first number, so T1 equals 40, T2 equals 45, T3 equals 50, because we're just taking the previous number and adding 5, etc. And so the pattern is also could be written as, so this is something that we're going to study more formally. This can be written as 40 plus 1 lot of 5. This is the same as 40 plus 2 lots of 5. And so maybe some of you might have seen that there is a pattern. It's just 40 plus T2 has 1 5, T3 has 2 5s, so it's n minus 1 times 5, and then expand the bracket out, so we get 5n minus 5, and then 40 minus 5 is 35, and so the pattern could be written as 35 plus 5n. And we're going to do a lot more work on this sort of pattern spotting when the patterns are going up by a constant number. So I'll have an exercise for you to do on Moodle, and that's it for the first part. Okay, bye.